would I be sent to a bunker if ever there was a giant spike that hit me from overseas and I had to be up close and personal with something that was unfavorable? How would that handle? This is my rendition of the soccer player I saw on TV slide tackle at LGBT flag. Remember when they sacrifice animals in the Old Testament? You know what I noticed? The skeletal structure of a snake is the same of the tail as a dog. Oh my gosh, it's just one giant tail. And then I was thinking, humans, we've got a tailbone. It's somewhat within the same, but it's just a bit shorter. It would be as though it was a midget snake. Our tailbone is equivalent to the same skeletal structure as a snake midget. But where's the venom? Well, not all snakes are venomous, but the tail of a scorpion is. The tail of a scorpion, it's got an exoskeleton. That's the opposite of a skeletal structure of a venomous snake. But it's the same as the poison. So what would be the relation if you swap? Snow globe and a cuckoo clock are great archetypes to describe something that is randomized, like a pendulum. If it was broken and it was just swinging all about, that would be equivalent to a snow globe being excited. The cuckoo clock has different compartments and specific timings where each of them open up and are shown. This has a classical resemblance to a table of particles, those are which constitute for things that are seen in normal life as random. Getting light on an invisible giant. Or it could be what I was scared of the most. If it was all the three. Let me explain. If there's a cage about a pyramid making a mimic of a symmetry so perfect that it could have a cylinder inside of it only exposed at its base, and you never see it at a pyramid at its bottom base, do you? So the cylinder, as it's going up, the pyramid is skewing in as it pinches at the corner up top, you know, like where the eye is in the pyramid on the $1 bill. But the cylinder doesn't lose any of its width because the cage is so symmetric. And that cage is so symmetric as it's enveloping in within the cylinder inside the pyramid that it mimics an entire sphere, even though it looks like a pyramid on its outside. So when I was a kid, they had the food pyramid, and it's so important to have a visual aid with the geometric sound thing. What's stored well has something that is aside from within its structural standpoint, where the value, if you stuck this in a microwave, has a certain amount, but the outer casings needs a value as well. Snow globe and a cuckoo clock are great archetypes to describe something that is randomized, like a pendulum. If it was broken and it was just swinging all about, that would be equivalent to a snow globe being excited. The cuckoo clock has different compartments and specific timings where each of them open up and are shown. This has a classical resemblance to a table of particles, those are which constitute for things that are seen in normal life as random. Basically, anything that you try cooking undergoes heat, temperature, and coalesce. You never know what you're going to get until it's finally cooled. Everyone's scared of an invisible giant, but there's tools that could be utilized both with a predate and a prehistoric. For one example, the speed of light is a definite speed. It means that light speed is able to be calculated in a calibration with a speed radar gun. The second example is at a distance, things are fuzzy, meaning the clarity on structures from afar are real but can look like a blob. The brake plane, in order to compensate for all the wind, using something like a gate to negate as it's being shredded by this gate as it's blowing this way. Probably would incorporate an entire whistle if this had a different brake plane as it's being perforated. It would probably account for a different type of note. You know, if you're blowing into a trumpet and you're changing your notes, you know to push differently with your diaphragm as you're changing the finger button. When the wind is blowing, this gate is pushing a certain frequency, and all it would need is just a giant reed and an enclosure like a giant wind tunnel as well, facing this way, and it would be like a giant organ pipe being played. Coding would be the alignment of its backdrop, where if it didn't have one, it wouldn't obtain a definite form, resigning within its value. I thought it's funny in the terms prehistoric is begging that the history has a time before it. The post date would be a time after a specific date. Combine two together, it's a conundrum where you have a digestion tract where it has food inside of it and it's been digested for who knows how long. Within this is a action where it consists of how coding, or as a chimera, all the three. Let me explain. Here's the hook, line, and sinker where you got all of us free living patriots just trying to do liberty and justice for all. It is in a tune of this bike, I can drop and pick it up and it still works. But when you say there's 14 days that you need shedding light on an invisible giant, how big is it? Can't be bigger than an entire world. And it's just ironic that the entire world is acting as if they're getting manhandled by it. So, how big is this giant? Oh, it's just like the tires are kind of flat on here, and I just got this bike a few minutes ago, so I don't know how well it handles. So I can still ride it, but I'm going to fill up the tires. It's as though if you've known me your entire life and you're acclaimed to tell how to dress or where to go or where not to go.